All right, folks, I know that many of you have already heard this story come across the pipe, but it is continuing to grow and it is becoming a bigger and bigger problem, very much like a deadly disease. And what's taking place in cities like Chicago, and I'm going to specifically talk about Chicago right now, is that there is a radical number of riots that are happening in Chicago right now. Right now, they happen to be run by children, and I will say children, actually teenagers, that are going through the streets in big mobs. They are destroying private property. They are creating a lot of havoc. Police are getting involved. It's increasing the amount of shootings that are taking place in the city. There are people who have lived there their whole life that are now saying, I feel unsafe in my city. Of course, that's kind of interesting because Chicago's been an unsafe city for a very long time. The police over there have perhaps one of the most dangerous jobs any law enforcement officer in this country can actually have. The amount of evil that continues to rule the streets is growing. They need to bring in the National Guard, but they're not going to do it because of one very important principle that everybody seems to continue to ignore. And that is when wicked, evil people come into rule, they bring devastation to the people that they rule over. Why? Because Satan loves to lie, steal, kill, and destroy. That's what he does. He hates human life. He will do anything he can to destroy human life. And this new mayor-elect of the city of Chicago is absolutely no exception. As a matter of fact, with a lot of these recent riots that are going on, the mayor actually released a statement about this, and the statement is undoubtedly wicked. Look what he says about this. He says, "In no way do I condone the destructive activity we saw in the Loop and Lakefront this weekend. It is unacceptable and has no place in our city." Sounds great so far, right? I mean, right. That's the perfect statement to make. Then he says this, "However, it is not constructive to demonize youth who have otherwise been starved of opportunities in their own communities." Can that get any more satanic? Can that get any more demonic? He says, let's not demonize youth. Okay, maybe I agree with not demonizing youth, but maybe we should say that demons are controlling the actions of these youth. Maybe we say that the spiritual world that is involved in causing these actions to take place is thick and riddled with demons. Maybe we acknowledge for just a second the fact that the mayor-elect is saying, let's not demonize the demons that control me, because he's the one who he himself is given to demon activity. Folks, this battle is spiritual. We cannot forget it. We cannot lose sight of it. The Bible tells us that we are not wrestling against flesh and blood. There are principalities and powers, rulers of darkness that we are contending with. And we need to remember that. We need to also call things for what they are. Stop lying, because the more people like this mayor continue to lie, the more they continue to propagate their untruths, the more they continue to do a disservice to the children that he supposedly wants to protect. If you want to take demons out of the lives of these children, combat that with righteousness. It's really simple. It's time Christ be brought into the picture, and it's time that bold leaders who worship Christ will speak openly and adamantly against these evils and call people like this mayor-elect on his wickedness, because things are getting bad. And folks, even if you bring in the National Guard, which I think should happen in Chicago, understand that might not solve the problem, because the demonic strongholds that exist in that city are significant, and the only way we solve that is by looking at it spiritually. Enough is enough. It's time to pray. It's time to seek God concerning these things, and it's time to call people like this out and say that your actions are unacceptable. Plain and simple.